Hi everybody, it's Chari here today, and I'm going to be making these glittery rainbow cards, these clean and simple cards. And I'm going to be using the new rainbow die, and this is what it looks like, and it cuts 7 individual pieces. Here's the test one that I already made. These are traditional glitter colors here, 7 colors, and traditionally this die cuts all the way through, but I don't want it to, so I'm going to use some regular cardstock here. And I'm going to cover it with the Sukwang Be Creative tape, but these are sheets. So I'm going to cut a piece to use on top of this cardstock. Now I have some really thin adhesive, and that's great for adhering things like glitter down, but I actually don't want it to cut it apart. Normally when you cut this rainbow, you can cut cardstock and you get all the little arches separately. But I actually don't want it to do that. I just want it to cut through the adhesive enough to where I can pull off the backing paper, but the rainbow itself stays intact. So I'm going to cut a piece of this adhesive sheet to fit on this little piece of cardstock I have here. This piece of cardstock happens to be cut at like A2 size, but it's just what I had on my desk. So obviously you can cut this as big as you want. I'm going to make multiple rainbows out of this sheet. So I'm taking off that brown backing paper, and I'm going to cover this whole piece of cardstock with this sheet. Now this is going to be the front side of these rainbows. So this is the side I'm going to put my die on. I'm going to make sure it's adhered down to my cardstock very well, so I'm just running over it with my bone folder. Now I'm going to tape down the die, and I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. I am not going to use a shim because I don't want it to cut all the way through. And it may not cut all the way through cutting out the whole shape, but I'll show you how to deal with that here in a minute. So now that I've run the die through, you can see it's not going to pop out. It didn't cut all the way through. You cannot see all those arches, and that's exactly what I want. And while I've got it here, I'm going to cut out a couple more. So I could fit one more whole rainbow on there, and then the one at the top, it went off the side, but I'm going to use the inside pieces and make like a smaller rainbow. So you've got a couple options on how to make your rainbow. You don't have to make all 7 pieces. You can make it smaller, whatever. So I'm going to use my craft knife here just to cut around the edges to get that rainbow shape out. So you can put it right in the groove that's left there and just run your knife right around it, and it comes out pretty easy. And actually mine actually did cut some of the outside arch, so I didn't have to go all the way around with my craft knife. It actually cut right out there. So the one I'm going to do here, actually you see here, so this is the little one. I've cut off those arches that didn't cut all the way. So I'm going to have a little one, and I've got 2 big ones. So you see here what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one of them. And the one I made earlier is more traditional metallic glitter colors. The one I'm going to make, I'm going to do in iridescent colors, and I'm going to do all 7. So that little one, it's got 4 on it, I think, 4 or 5. So that'll be for a smaller size card. You could also just do like a skitty, just do the outside ones, which might be cool. So really big arch, but only like 3 rainbows or 4. So this is the glitter set I used to do this original one, in case you were wondering. So it's Martha Stewart, and in this one I'm going to do the iridescent glitter here. So I've picked out 7 colors, and I think it helps to lay them out in the order that you want to do them. That way you don't mistakenly put the glitter in the wrong spot. So I'm just going to set that aside, and I'm going to start with the outside arch here, and I just have a piece of white scrap cardstock so I can just keep my workspace clean and keep the glitter on there. And you should be able to peel up that liner paper really easy. And then I'm just going to shake on that red glitter that I want on that outside arch. So you just shake a little bit of that on, and it will stick to that liner paper just because it's kind of waxy and staticky, but that's okay. It's easy to kind of rub off. Then I'm going to rub it down with my finger here. If you don't like messes, this is probably not a project for you. Because it's going to make a bit of a mess. And I'm actually not going to clean up this sheet of paper between each one. So you can just rub that extra off of the waxy part. Those pieces are going to come off eventually anyways. So now I'm going to speed it up, super speed, so you can see all these colors here. So I'm going to go in with my orange next, shake that on, rub it in, and you're going to see I'm going to skip the yellow. And the reason why I'm skipping the yellow is because it's a very light color, it's the lightest of the colors, and I don't want, you know, my green contaminating it if I already have the yellow on. So I'm going to go to green next. And I'll go back to the yellow at the end, and you'll see I forgot to rub it in with my finger. So if you just dump it off, it's not going to all stick as much as when you rub it with your finger. So I went back and put more on. This is like a teal color. I know what the colors are, the 7 colors indigo, but there's not really indigo glitter, so I did teal instead. Now I'm going in with the blue, and then I'm going to do the purple here on the most inside one. And then I'll go back and do my yellow last. And there you have a beautiful glittery rainbow. And I just cleaned off my paper, and I'm going over it with a bone folder, but I'm putting that piece of cardstock between the rainbow and my bone folder. That way I don't get glitter all over my bone folder, and I don't run the risk of scratching any of it off. So here are 2 other versions. This is that little one I made. It had 4 arches, and so it's the inside part of the rainbow. And then this one, I only want to do 6 colors, so I actually cut out that smallest arch, so it's actually the 6 most outside arches. So I'm going to set those aside. I've got some white card bases here. These are going to be very clean and simple cards. And then I've pulled out some sentiments. I thought that "Thanks for being so thoughtful" was great because it was perfectly the same width as the rainbow. And then I've got a couple in this set that I want to use. I'm always running out of birthday cards, so I think I'll make some that can be used for birthday cards. Most of my card bases are landscape because that rainbow is so wide. That's only where it fits, but that small one will fit on one that's portrait. So I'm going to put that aside. And I'm going to use my Misty tool here to line up. So that rainbow is just sitting there. It's not glued down yet. Just getting my placement. And then once I have it where I want it, I can pick up that sentiment, and then you can see if it's straight. And I did pretty good, actually. It was straight once I got the grid on top of it. So I'm going to put that card base back in my Misty tool, and I'm going to use the black licorice ink. I'm going to ink that up, and then make sure my card's in the corner, close the Misty tool, and it'll be lined up perfectly. So if you wanted to make tons of these, you know, that'd be great. You could mass produce them really easy. And then that rainbow will fit right above it. So I skipped all my stamping. I stamped some of these with some colors other than black. But now I'm putting the rainbows on, and I'm going to use some foam adhesive to kind of just pop them up off the base. Just give them a little more interest, still keeping it pretty clean and simple. This "You're Awesome" I stamped with the new Picot ink. I thought it went good with the color that was in the rainbow there. And then on the one where I had actually cut a panel with the stitch rectangles, I don't think I showed that earlier. So for this one, I adhered the rainbow with some very thin adhesive, and then I popped the panel up with the thicker adhesive. So I thought that one gave it a little more thing going on with the kind of white on white frame, which I think is cool. So here are all those rainbows. Some really quick, clean and simple cards. I thought I'd add a couple more things to the 2 that were very plain. And this is a Picot embellisher from Sukaneko, and it's in white, and it's basically like making your own little enamel dots. I kind of love this thing. It's a lot easier than buying a bunch of enamel dots. You can make as many as you want, whatever size you want. It's super easy. And I usually just get it going on a piece of scrap paper. That's what you see over to the left corner there. And then I cut out the middle size cloud from the Spring Showers die set. It fits perfectly at the end of this rainbow. And I've just put 2 clouds on that one, using some Tombow Mono Multi glue right on top of the glitter. That sending hugs sentiment is stamped in the new Juice Box purple ink. And then on the one that says "You're Awesome," I grabbed a couple solid stars from the Lucky Stars set, and I'm going to use some sunflower ink just to stamp a couple stars around on the white of the card. So there's a bigger star and a little star. There's outlines too, but I just stuck with the solid ones. I like to do things in threes, odd numbers. And then there you have all those finished clean and simple cards. If you have the glitter out and you cut a bunch of rainbows, you can make a whole bunch of rainbows all at once. Here's some closer pictures. This is a close-up of the iridescent one with the clouds. And here's another one. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye.